Juno in the 7th house, the ultimate partnership. The asteroid Juno, named after the Roman goddess of marriage and childbirth, represents the archetype of the committed partner, soulmate connection, and the deep psychological contracts we form with others. In astrology, Juno reveals the qualities we seek in a long-term partner, the lessons we must learn regarding equality and compromise, and the potential pitfalls we might encounter in relationships. When Juno is placed in the 7th house, the house of marriage, open enemies, and one-on-one relationships, its energy is magnified. This placement is considered a natural house placement for Juno, meaning the asteroid's core themes align harmoniously with the house's primary focus. Individuals with this placement are deeply focused on partnerships, often viewing a committed, one-on-one relationship as a vital component of their identity and personal fulfillment. Core psychological themes. 1. The quest for the ideal partner. Individuals with Juno in the 7th house are rarely indifferent to the idea of marriage or long-term commitment. From a young age, they often hold an idealized vision of a soulmate or life partner. They are looking for someone who acts as a true equal, a mirror to their own soul who can walk beside them through life's challenges. The partner they attract often possesses qualities associated with Libra and the 7th house: diplomacy, charm, aesthetic appreciation, or a strong sense of justice and balance. 2. The desire for balance and harmony. Because the 7th house naturally rules Libra, a core lesson for this placement is learning the art of compromise. Juno here indicates a strong need for fairness and reciprocity in relationships. If a partnership feels one-sided, or if the individual feels they are giving more than they receive, significant emotional distress can occur. The journey involves learning how to maintain one's own independence while fostering a deeply interdependent bond. 3. Projection of authority and commitment. Sometimes, those with Juno in the 7th house may project their own need for autonomy and power onto their partner. They might look to a significant other to provide the sense of security or status they feel they lack within themselves. When Juno is afflicted in this house, the individual might experience codependency, losing their sense of self in the relationship, or they may struggle with the fear of being alone, leading them to commit too quickly. Evolutionary challenges and growth. The pitfall of codependency. The major hazard for Juno in the 7th house is the temptation to define one's entire self-worth through the lens of a relationship. When the focus on partnership becomes obsessive or fear-based, the individual may tolerate mistreatment or abandon their personal ambitions just to keep the peace. The evolutionary lesson is to cultivate an inner sense of commitment and love before seeking it in an external partner. Reclaiming personal power. Those with this placement are asked to redefine what equality means to them. It is not about completely merging with another, but rather two whole individuals forming a conscious contract. Learning to speak one's truth within a relationship, even when it threatens to disrupt the harmony, allows the individual to establish a healthy, mature foundation for long-term love. Karmic and relational significance. Astrologically, Juno in the 7th house often points to significant soul contracts. People with this placement frequently encounter partners who feel incredibly familiar, as if they have known them in past lives. The relationship often acts as a mirror, reflecting the individual's deepest desires, hidden fears, and capacity for profound vulnerability. Ultimately, Juno in the 7th house asks the native to bridge the gap between I and we. When the individual integrates Juno's energy consciously, they attract a partner who respects their independence and shares their values, creating a union that is both deeply passionate and enduring. Juno in the 7th house, sign-by-sign guide. The influence of the 7th house places Juno in its natural home of committed partnerships, but the specific expression depends heavily on the zodiac sign it occupies. Here is a brief guide to how Juno manifests in the 7th house for each of the 12 signs. The fire signs. Aries. The partnership dynamic is highly energetic, direct, and action-oriented. You seek a partner who is independent, courageous, and direct, but you may struggle with impatience or power struggles if the relationship lacks excitement. The core lesson is balancing personal independence with mutual compromise. Leo. You desire a partner who is loyal, expressive, and treats you like royalty. You are drawn to charismatic and warm-hearted individuals, but the shadow side involves a need for constant validation or dramatic conflicts regarding authority and attention within the partnership. Sagittarius. You are attracted to a partner who expands your horizons, shares your philosophical views, and loves to travel. You require mental and physical freedom within commitment, but the pitfall lies in over-idealizing the partner or avoiding the mundane responsibilities of daily life together. The Earth signs. Taurus. Virgo. You look for a partner who is helpful, detail-oriented, and supports your daily routines or health goals. The pitfall of this placement is falling into the trap of analyzing, fixing, or over-criticizing your significant other instead of accepting them as they are. Capricorn. Commitment is serious business to you, and you seek a partner who is mature, ambitious, and responsible. You may attract someone older or highly established, but the lesson is to ensure the relationship is built on emotional vulnerability and shared joy, not just duty. The air signs. Gemini. Mental stimulation and communication are your primary love languages. You need a partner who is witty, adaptable, and acts as your best friend, though you may struggle with indecisiveness or a fear of emotional depth and commitment. Libra. Since Juno naturally rules the 7th house, this placement highlights your intense focus on fairness, beauty, and harmony. You seek an elegant and diplomatic partner, but the challenge is suppressing your own needs to maintain peace or over-compromising to avoid conflict. Aquarius. You are drawn to unconventional, intellectually brilliant, or eccentric partners. You require a relationship based on friendship and mutual freedom, but you may experience detachment or difficulty navigating traditional emotional intimacy. The water signs. Cancer. You need deep emotional security, nurturing, and a strong sense of domestic belonging. You seek a partner who acts as a protector, but the risk lies in becoming overly dependent, moody, or acting like a parent to your partner. Scorpio. You crave an intense, all-consuming, and transformative soulmate connection. You demand absolute loyalty, but the lesson involves avoiding jealousy, control issues, and power struggles in favor of vulnerability and trust. Pisces. You hold a deeply romantic and spiritual vision of your ideal partner, often viewing them as a savior or a muse. The primary challenge is avoiding martyrdom, disillusionment, or projecting your own fantasies onto an ordinary human being. Transiting Juno in the 7th house, the awakening of commitment. When the asteroid Juno, the astrological archetype of the soulmate, long-term commitment, and marriage contracts, transits through the 7th house, it enters its natural domain. The 7th house is the sector of open partnerships, marriage, legal agreements, and one-on-one relationships. When Juno moves through this space in the sky, the planetary energy brings a significant shift in how we approach our most intimate connections. Rather than dealing with fleeting attractions, the transit forces a serious review of the foundations, equity, and future potential of our primary relationships. The relational spotlight. The call for equal partnership. During this transit, issues regarding give and take come to the forefront. If a relationship has been unbalanced, with one partner exerting too much control or the other sacrificing too much to keep the peace, the tension becomes impossible to ignore. Juno demands that both individuals be treated as equals. You may find yourself reflecting on the fairness of your domestic or romantic arrangements and feeling a sudden desire to renegotiate the terms of your emotional contracts. Legalization and binding commitments. Because Juno rules the institution of marriage and formal, long-term vows, this transit often acts as a timing mechanism for new beginnings or formalizations. It is common during a 7th house Juno transit to get engaged, move in together, or formalize a long-term relationship. Conversely, if the relationship is fundamentally incompatible, the transit may bring the realization that it is time to part ways, dissolving an agreement that no longer serves both individuals. Phases and dynamics of the transit. The entry over the descendant. The transit begins with Juno crossing the descendant, the cusp of the 7th house. This point serves as a cosmic wake-up call for how you relate to significant others. During this initial phase, you may experience a sudden influx of focus on your partner or notice that your interactions are more intense. The mirror of the 7th house reflects your inner self-worth back to you, prompting you to evaluate whether your partner supports your personal growth or acts as an anchor. Navigating retrogrades in the 7th house. If Juno stations retrograde while moving through the 7th house, the energy shifts from external action to internal reflection. This period, lasting several weeks, turns your attention to past relationship dynamics and deep-seated fears around commitment. You are prompted to ask yourself essential questions. Why am I in this partnership? Is there true emotional and psychological intimacy, or is it an obligation? Am I compromising my own values just to avoid being alone? The retrograde phase does not necessarily signal the end of a relationship, but rather an invitation to fix structural flaws and heal codependent tendencies. Long-term evolutionary lessons. Establishing healthy boundaries, you are challenged to maintain your individuality while sharing your life with someone else. True commitment does not require surrendering your personal power. Recognizing fated connections. When transiting Juno forms exact aspects to your natal sun, moon, or north node during this transit, it can bring a fated or deeply familiar connection into your life. These relationships often feel destined, carrying strong karmic weight. Business and professional partnerships. Because the 7th house also governs non-romantic contracts, this transit can highlight significant business partnerships, joint ventures, or legal collaborations, bringing a sense of seriousness and long-term security to your professional alliances. Ultimately, transiting Juno through the 7th house acts as a reset for your relational standards, guiding you toward commitments that honor both your heart and your highest good. Subscribe, like, and share.